As you can see from the order form, it's not really designed for requesting custom things. It's designed for the specific options the GraphiStudio offer. But you can, this way to get around it. And like I said, my best and greatest advice that you have to work through your rep. She's the one that's going to make sure that everything runs according to plan. When you go to the inbox, box internal, the inside part of the box, you want to select print and bind because you're going to supply a file, the PSD layer file with the order for them to be able to use. As you can see, once you select that, then you cannot select a material because I mean, you can select it right here. You select the material, but don't forget to also mention it in the notes. Your notes have to be as complete and as detailed as possible in a very basic, simple language. Remember, they're in Italy. They do speak English, but there can be some words that we use here in the States that they're not commonly used everywhere else. So there may be a misunderstanding. So that's why I always send the same instruction. I even discuss my instructions with my rep before I start designing, just to make sure that number one, it's possible to make, and number two, it's understandable what I'm saying. Especially for me that I'm a Spanish speaker, so I have to make sure that my English words are even double correct. So basically, I just selected the cloud letter white and the print and bind. What I do is in Photoshop, I'm gonna create a document that has the size of the inside of the box. How do I know which size to use? If you go here to the info on book, what I do, I look where it says image on photographic print, and then I select the size that I'm using. In my case, I selected 12:8, so I made it a document that is 11.69 width and with a height of 8.46. In this case, I don't care about the trim much because I'm not putting anything on the corners. This is just as a guide to make sure that I supply a document that when they print it, is the art that I'm sending is going to be in the right proportions that I want it. If I just send any size or just a small size or whatever, they don't know how to deal with it, so they're going to make it as it looks. So you want to make sure that you create a document that is the size of the inside of the box, and you put your logo or text or whatever you want to use in the same ratios or size that you want it to be seen when it's printed. So that's what I do this. This other option says color image with overprinting on the material. That could work, but I think it's a bit more complicated, especially when you're doing layers. So I just did in Photoshop, I created a document that has those dimensions. If I go here, look image size, you're gonna see it's 11.69 by 8.46. I'm assuming it's a 12:8 box. So I do that, and then I just resize what you gave me in the proportions that I wanted to be seen or be printed on the inside of the box. So let's assume that it is. So here you have two things. You get the letters. It's one. It can be one layer if you want. You can merge those three layers into one, and then you have another layer which is the actual logo. When you create this, you need to be as clear as possible. For example, if you look here on the right on the layers, I gave text 1, text 2, and text 3, and for the logo it says white. I just gonna put logo, or in your case it's a monogram. So I just label it that way so I can use their names to communicate to Italy what I specifically want it done in each layer. So basically you could actually, like I said, you could merge those three layers which are text, which is fine. Then will make it easier. But as long as you're clear, it doesn't matter if they're in three layers or one layers. You have to be very clear. So that's why I label it the layers that have text into text 1, 2, and 3, and the layer that has the monogram as monogram layer. I made the logo a sage color. I want to make sure that, for example, this is an overprint, so I want to make sure that when I go here, I just pick either the RGB numbers R160, 154, G171, and B137, or I take the ASCII code down here and I copy it, because I'm gonna write that. I'm gonna tell Italy that that's the color I want the logo. The text can be black because it's gonna be foil, and the foil has the color, so it doesn't really matter what color it is. Just make it black so it's very distinct. It has to be very contrasty with the background in order to work best. So that's that. That's done. Make sure you take all these layers. All is a transparent. Actually, you can take this white layer. I don't need it anymore. So you can make sure you turn off the back layer so it's transparent, because otherwise they're gonna print the white, and we don't want that. We want to be just print what is on the screen, which is the text and the monogram. So once that's done, what you're gonna do, you're gonna save that as a PSD with the layers, and to make sure, and it can be Adobe RGB, sRGB, doesn't matter. So I saved that. So now I'm done with Photoshop, and now the only thing I have to do is tell here that it's color letterette or whatever material I want, and ask for print on vine. Notice that when I click here on print on vine, it's an image, it may turn off this, so make sure it's turned on so it's easier for them to understand. Print on vine means that you're going to upload a file for them to use. You cannot do in Graphic Designer because you're doing two different layers. If it's just once, it was just one PNG, and the text is available on what Graphic has. What I would do then, I use the Graphic Designer, just bring the monogram, and they'll just add the text using the Graphic Designer. Graphic software was a little bit better but for doing this, but it's been defaced, it's been discarded, so it's just basically a non-user. For people that have older computers and still can run the software, they may be able to use that, but with the newer operating system, you cannot no longer use graphic software, so that's a non-starter. But just basically you need to explain it to them. Right now, as you can see, there's nowhere to place note. The note's going to be once you do the checkout, that's where you put the note. And in the note, you need to put that you are sending them a PSD, a layer PSD, and this is the name of that PSD layer, layer PSD. You need to give it a name, and that is a layer PSD. And you're going to tell them that there's a monogram, there's text, that you want the monogram printed in a color overlay erase varnish, and you want it sage, and you're giving it the ASCII code for the sage. And then you want the text, the layers labeled text 1, text 2, and text 3. You want those three layers, they're text. You want them in a foil, silver or gold, whatever color you choose to. And that's all that you do. You just tell them that I would take that same information, and that I also forgot, and you want to mention that you want white color letter just in case. So it's basically you're gonna tell them exactly what you want done, how you want it done, and the key is that you send a PSD, a layer PSD, with the layers well named, clear, and to the point, very as descriptive as you can make it. And then you're gonna take those instructions, you're gonna put it in the note, and then you're gonna send that to your rep, to Lisa Larkins. You can even call her or send it email so she has that, and then you just ask it for please check for me to make sure that I was able to communicate correctly to Italy what I want to do. And that's it. It's not that complicated. Just basically is the communication part that has to be as clear as possible. Hope that helped.